So I'm going to do a video on ego, and I am tired. I'm tired because I've been going to bed late and staying up relatively late and getting up relatively early. And so this could potentially be a good video. It could not, because I'm a little bit tired. So the idea of the ego. Now, what is the ego? The ego is a concept within the mind. It's created. It's an entity that the mind creates. It's a belief system. It's a combination of ideals, ideologies, dogmas. It's a construct of what sometimes society thinks. It's a construct of your past. It's many different things, but it's not you. It's a conditioning. The ego is responsible for suffering, for worry, for judgment, and for holding you back when you may want to do something. The idea that you may not be good enough. Wherever that comes from, whether it's through past experiences or whether it's through seeing people on social media that are doing different things to what you are, and you may judge them and feel that they are successful, experiencing better quality of life. The ego manifests in many different ways. It's just not an overinflated opinion of yourself. It's it's a low self-esteem, because it will compare. It's something that compares. It's something that constantly makes comparisons to other people, for yourself. It can be as little as looking at somebody's footwear and thinking that guy's got a shit pair of trainers, he's got a cheap pair of trainers, and he's a tramp. That's your ego, right? That is ultimately where it comes from, right? Because you're thinking that he should be of a higher standard or higher caliber because of your conditioning, because you came up in a certain way and you bought certain things, and so that's your ego. And then the ego can tell you that you're not good enough if you want to go for a promotion at work. For some reason you may have had a bad experience with some of the customers or some of your colleagues. So from past conditioning, the ego will tell you that you're not capable, you're not qualified to carry out the responsibilities that the job may demand from us. So the ego, fuck the arse basically. Either way. And so for me, it's a matter of identifying it and pulling away from it, and it is everlasting almost, but the idea is to contain it to the point where you can live a quality life, and it's understanding it. I don't think many people understand the ego, because I don't think people know that there's a place beyond the mind, and there is a place beyond the mind, beyond the thinking mind. And it's not just when you're sleeping, because you're sleeping and you're still conscious. The body's not aware of what's going on, but you're still conscious. And there is a place beyond it. And I don't think people know that. You can actually cultivate a place of peace whilst you're sat there on your own company, which, I don't know, some people may not like their own company. Me personally, I can sit for hours on my own. It's something that I've practiced. So no one's around, hey, you know what, I'm okay. So it's a cultivation of being in the present moment with anything. And people do it with so many different things. Your work, sometimes you can be so immersed in your work that you just absolutely feel. I mean, most people, I'd say, in my opinion, through my experience, when I've done manual labour, I found that that's more therapeutic, more rewarding than a day talking to customers trying to sell things. Why? Because I can be completely present with putting things in, physically putting things together, and using my hands. And there's a certain stimulating reward for that, because you're away from the mind. You just active physically, and so so with meditation, that's the idea of meditation, and part of what I've done 12 steps in a number of different fellowships for drug addiction, and I think that is ultimately the process which the 12 steps will take you through. It's cleaning up. They call it cleaning up the wreckage of the past. Right? So you go through your past and you address everything you've done, maybe to harm others or maybe yourself, and then you kind of turn your worries and your fears over to your higher power. So that's almost saying, okay, so I'm not going to obsess over the future. So what do I have? If I don't obsess over the future, then I have this moment. So most practices, religious or spiritual practice, will direct you to cultivating the present moment. And I don't think people are aware that you can have this place beyond the mind where you don't have to think. Because I think they say it's about 3,000 thoughts a day. So 3,000 or 30,000 an hour. Sorry, I'm tired. And 80% of that activity is negative anyway. So if you sit and watch your mind, because you're not your mind. You identify with the mind, but you're not your mind. But, I don't think people know that you're not actually your mind. Like the other day, and I'm going to try and keep this short because I don't want to babble on if I'm not present and alert. The other day, I had. I'm in Corfu, so you can probably tell this isn't London, right? I had a guy who kept he was goading me a little bit because I had a Liverpool shirt on, and I just kind of went with it. He wasn't trying to converse with me or engage in conversation. It was just insults, pretty much. Well, it got to a point where it was insults. The first time it was like, "What's that shit you've got on?" And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm just going to get my drink and you have a nice day." And I kind of walked off. I kind of saw it for what it was. It was just bravado. And he was on his own, walked off. And then I saw him the next day when I was walking down the hill on the way to the bus stop. I was going out and I was going to go into town and jump on the bus. And he's, I'm coming down the hill. He's going up the hill and he says, "Oh, there's that guy with the shit, wearing that shit shirt again." And he had somebody on the phone. I looked at him and I just knew, that I needed to ignore him. And then he turned around and he said something about me being a twat for wearing the shirt. At that point, I kind of stopped and looked at him and I thought to myself, I'm going to let that go. When I work on myself, I'm not a saint. Like, I still react sometimes. And I kind of let it pass, and I thought to myself, I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to basically put my foot in his nutsack next time. And so that started going, it started playing in my head. And then I thought to myself, what's this about? Because I want to help people, right? I want to go to a place where I can help people. So I had to step back at this moment. I thought, what's this about? Because I could see that what he was doing is he was basically pissing off everybody he spoke to in the hotel and in the bar. So I saw it for what it was, right? Dude's on his own, and he wants company, right? He's lonely. That's what I said to myself. I said, this guy, he's lonely, wants company, and he doesn't know how to socialise. So I thought to myself, after kind of going round in my head thinking I'm going to put my foot in his nutsack, I thought, what's a better way of dealing with this? I thought, do you know what I'm going to say? Because this is how I see it. He's lonely and he just wants someone to speak to. So I'm going to say next time when I see him, I'm going to say to him, look, dude, like, you cross the line, and I'm not going to tolerate you speaking to me like that. If you want company, if you want to sit down and have a drink, I'm more than happy to sit down with you, but don't speak to me like that. So then he's at the bar the next day, and it happened, right? He started, and I called him on it, I called him on it, And I said, look, mate, you crossed the line the other day. You insulted me, and I'm not gonna, it's not cool. And he came over and he was like, I was only having a bit of banter. I said, banter's banter, but you just start point blank insulting me. I'm not accepting that. That's unacceptable. You crossed the line. And then he started to apologise. And from that moment onwards, he spent the next 20 minutes, 25 minutes with us talking. I was with a few other people, a couple of ladies, and he's talking to us. And he kind of, he was very friendly. And then every time I saw him after that, a big smile on his face, right? Sincerely had a big smile on his face. No bravado, right? Because I know everyone else came over to me because they were irritated by this guy because he was, basically pissing everybody off, and they were like, "Good job" to me. I was like, "Well, it's like he's not all that bad," and everyone's cursing him out and saying he's a fucking arsehole and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you know what? I said, this is how I see it. He's just lonely. He wanted someone to talk to, so I called him on his shit, and it was just that. And as soon as I called him on it, he came. He showed me a true side of him, which was actually quite nice. So every time I saw him, he was, as I said, he was smiling, and I saw him later that day for dinner, and he's recommending dishes like the beef's really nice, and so I was just trying to look beyond the ego, and that was his ego, and that was my ego. My ego wanted to kick his ass because it felt threatened, and it's like, don't you know who the fuck I am? You're gonna get it, and it's not acceptable to violate people and start insulting them. But yeah, that was my ego. So I went beyond the ego, and I addressed it as I saw it. And the outcome was I got to connect with a pretty decent human being. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope that was helpful in some way. God bless.